about this issue. Two of the children shoes might have for some reason got destroyed, and another one need a school bag. One want to go to their friends. Would that get peers? Who you think he's going to deal with first? The ones who need the shoes. He has to prioritize. God wasn't prioritizing, God was simplifying the story. So for the father to explain this to his children, he'd have to come up with some story for them to appreciate what was the situation that he was in. Not that God was short of resource, but God wanted the people to want him naturally. So he told them stories that the stories may permeate their minds through the parables. The parables act as a dividing line. You had the crowd, the outsiders. They heard a nice story about a farmer or a lamb. They got a moral, they got a moral lesson, but no life change. Many people go to church, hear the word of God, and it doesn't change them. Many people. They weren't willing to follow him once the story ended. That's it, they left. They don't want to go any further. Down the disciples, you see it over and over again. They stayed behind and they asked. They wanted more. They wanted to understand. The disciples or the insiders, they didn't always understand the stories either, but they stayed behind to ask questions. The parable was a tool to see who was actually hungry for the truth and who was just there for the bread and fish. Many people go to church to feel good. I feel good, I feel convicted that I know nothing for about because they go to church. But is that really it? Is that really it? Or is it to make a change in your life as you hear the word of God? It took me a little while before I accepted Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. And if they had asked me back then if I was a Christian or not, I would have said, but I go to church. And I would have based my defense and argument on that I attend church. But attending church is one thing, but hearing the word of God and living it is a different thing. To protect the heart, the hard-hearted, that's another thing that's looked at through parables. This is the part that trips people up. Jesus quotes Isaiah, saying he speaks in parables so that the people might see but not perceive. People look and they must see. While that sounds exclusive, many theologians view it as an act of mercy. If Jesus spoke the naked, blinding truth to his identity to people who are already determined to hate him, their guilt would be even greater. By using parables, he veils the light so it doesn't blind those who aren't ready to turn around yet. I was at that place. I was at that place where I was at that husband when one opening eye. The story I told earlier, I was once that person, and the truth blind me. Some people, when they hear things that are not in line with what they believe, that's what they do. So the parable then allows the one who really wants to know to open their minds, open their hearts so they may see. The nature of the kingdom too. In one of these, it talks about the parable of the seed. The kingdom is like a seed. It grows when it's in good soil, right? Jesus uses the parable of the sower in Mark 4, 3 to 20 to illustrate that the word is like a seed. A seed is small, quiet, and requires the right soil to grow. By using parables, Jesus was planting seeds in people's minds. A direct command can be rejected instantly, but a story gets under the skin. It sits there and germinates. You might go home, lay in bed, and suddenly think, wait, am I the thorny soil? Sometimes people say something to you where you go home and you hear it, it shock you. But the more you think about this thing and you're not certain what the person is saying, eventually come back and say, watch out, what you may try to tell me? Come straight and I can know what it's what you mean to say. Because I understand it could be this or it could be that, but I want to know what is it you were saying. And I hope that the Bible provokes things like that in people, that people may understand that they can, you then, without me pointing finger at you and saying you are this or you are that, when you hear the whole story, you can then, based on what you have heard, decide where you fit in. And it's in your mind that it's being played out. As that soil is loosened, that seed that was planted in there by the parable causes you to move and play with this thing until eventually it grows into what it's supposed to be. So what does it do? It engages. It's accessible because it's using everyday items like seeds, lamp, oil, so someone who could relate. It's sovereign. It ensures that only those drawn by God will truly get it. This is intrinsic. It motivates you to toy with the idea in your mind that's already been prepared. From the time you step back and you ask additional things, then you start to play it in your mind. Because Jesus did not say you are this or you are that or you are the next. In the case of the parable of the sower, he created some scenarios. Now people will go through and say, where do I fit in? Which one am I? And if you're not the right one and you're interested, you will then go and want to find out how to make changes. That's what he was doing with the parables. Jesus wasn't trying to be confusing. He was looking for quality over quantity. He wanted followers whose hearts were soft enough for the seeds of the story to take root. Yeah. That's what he was looking for. He didn't want, many people followed him. Once he told them, they are for the food, man. Not the spiritual food. You guys are here. Every time I do something, the crowd of you show up, but you're showing up because you know that there's going to be food afterwards. You're not here to get the real spiritual food. And I pray to everyone, don't go to church for the physical food. To dress up, to just get attendance. It's deeper than that. It's more than that. Be there so that you can look and see, that you can listen and hear. Amen.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace.
Hola niños, ¿cómo están? ¿Están listos para fe, diversión y amigos?
¿Están listos?
¡Sí! Así que únanse con nosotros cada sábado a las 10 a.m. y los domingos a las 11 a.m.
Dos tiempos para escoger o únanse a los dos. Aquí en PlusTV.
Cada semana tendremos nuevos episodios solo para ti y canciones muy divertidas para que bailemos juntos.
Y pasos de baile super cool que puedes seguir.
Cada semana tendremos historias emocionantes que nos acercan a Jesús. Y saben, juegos muy divertidos para que riamos juntos.
Vamos a aprender cómo para enviar para Jesús donde quiera que estemos.
¿Te gustan las sorpresas y premios? ¿Te gusta hacer nuevos amigos?
¿Te gusta divertirte y aprender de Dios?
Así es.
Coinonía
Así que no te olvides. Invita a tus amigos, primos y vecinos.
Pon tu alarma y alístate
Nos vemos la próxima vez en Coinonía Kids
en Plus TV.
Langley Show on TV. You catch all the happenings straight out of San Ignacio with plenty of tea. Good ladies here, good ladies. Everybody for evening on the show. Laugh and real talk. No one tells it like Andy, Belize's favorite storyteller. So grab your friends, kick back, tune in only on Plus TV.
I'm coming back to your heart.
Foundations. Your work must be grounded upon solid rock, and so should your faith. Join Pastor Louis Wade Jr. weekly for Foundations Bible Study, where he goes deep into the Word of God with biblical teachings for better understanding.
A person might have potential inside of them, a desire to fulfill something, but the word of the Lord can bring that out of a person. Amen? So in the case of Gideon, though he felt that he could not do it, God had designated for him to do it. And so when God spoke the word through the angel, Gideon became who God knew he was all along.
Tune in on Plus TV Sundays for a new program or catch the repeats. We would love to hear from you. Write in and share your thoughts, prayer requests, or even pose questions you may have regarding the Bible passages. Foundations. Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain.
So when we praise God, you know something. We're not singing God, the love of the Lord.
Spice up your next event with professional lighting. Call 610-5679 and give your audience an experience they'll never forget. Proper stage lighting ensures stage visibility, motivates, and sets the mood of the atmosphere. We provide services for weddings, concerts, parties, dance recitals, and much more. Captivate your audience. Improve your production today. Call Shamax Productions at 610-5679 for quality and professional stage lighting.
I can't feel to see it.
Cyber Realty and Development is the leader in providing solutions to the current land crisis in Belize. For homeowners and investors alike, Cyber Realty is offering special deals on half-acre parcels in its new Emery Village development. Enjoy prime land off mile 37 on the George Price Highway at an unbeatable price. All you need is the initial down payment of $275 Belize dollars. Take advantage and reserve your half-acre home sites today. Emery Village. Join the community. Invest in your future.
Blessed Gardens is servicing home gardens across the country from the nation's capital and helping Belizeans reconnect with nature. We have everything you need for your home garden, so get growing. We have various types of soils: fortified soil, composted soil, potting soil, and pure compost for your garden. We have quality seeds and over 65 varieties of food seedlings for your garden. We even have organic insecticides available, EM soil treatment, and Polishade for your excessive sun or rain. Blessed Gardens has all your garden solution in one location. Call 610-5679. Visit us at the Bumapan Market Plaza or enjoy our free deliveries across the country. Blessed Gardens. Get growing, Belize.
Do you enjoy learning and wanting to know more about Christ your Savior? Then join Phil Sanders in Search of the Lord's Ways every Sunday 7:30 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. on Plus TV for half an hour of beautiful hymns and Bible messages. Messages are repeated on Tuesdays at 1:30 and Fridays at 10:30 a.m. Search in the Word for God's will. Know more and do more for the God we love. In Search of the Lord's Ways with Phil Sanders is being brought to you by the Church of Christ in your area. Be sure to visit.
Mopping, tiles, furniture, and...
Miss, you don't need all of this, man. Only this you need to make 4 out of this. And it's cheaper than all of them put together.
I want it.
Green Clean. All your cleaning needs in one bottle.
You are warmly invited.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave my home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave my home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize.
Good morning, Belize.
Sweet Belize.
Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Monday morning. It is the 20th of April. My name is Louis Wade and it's good to be back. I haven't been on Rise and Shine since Easter. Boy, what bad flu to go around. I tell you, it took me down, Belize. And I think the only positive thing is I probably lose a couple of pounds, right? But I don't think that's the best way to get into shape and to lose weight, right? But I'm grateful that I am back. And so yes, it's my first Monday morning back since Easter, and a lot of things have been happening, man. I've just been watching the news and saying, man, yeah, I'd love to hear our viewers on some of these topics, but I'm very grateful to Kerm Timbrell, Scott Sturm, Santi Valencia, and Pastor Shaw, David Shaw, who took over. I think I even saw LJ one of the Friday mornings helping to cover me. So it might seem that I swallow and eat toad this morning, but it's all right. I'm doing very well. Grateful for all of your prayers and support, and of course the doctors who took care of me. I've had friends who had the very same flu too, and they've come down with bronchitis and pneumonia, etc. So there's a bad one going around, lasting a little bit over a week. But as I said, I'm glad to be out from under the weather. And yesterday we had some pretty good sunshine. I don't think it made us warm. I think yesterday made hot. And so normally we're around this time, Easter time tends to be very warm as well. And then we come up on National Agriculture and Trade Show and so on. So it's that time of the year, and there are quite a few other activities that are taking place. And this morning we are going to talk about one such activity. But before we do, let me just get into the weather to take a look at what the day is going to be like. And I almost figure it's going to be hot, hot, hot. But let's see. So the general situation for today calls for warm and mostly dry weather to prevail. Over the next 24 hours, we can expect sunny skies with few cloudy spells today, partly cloudy tonight, and showers will be isolated if any. Marine conditions, winds will be blowing from the east to northeast at 5 to 15 knots with sea state slight choppy, that's what it's going to be. And waves 1 to 3 feet. So it's going to be a beautiful day on the seas. Temperatures for today inland, you can expect 93 degrees as the high with 70 as the low, which occurred probably earlier this morning. On the coast, we can expect 87 degrees Fahrenheit as the high and 78 as the low. And in the hills, it will reach 80 degrees as the high and 64 was the low earlier this morning. The outlook for Tuesday and Tuesday night is for continuing fair conditions to occur across the country with only a few isolated showers. So that is the weather report for this morning, the 20th of April. Now we're coming down towards the end of April, as I said, and quite a few activities will be taking place towards the end of the month. And this morning, our guests will be here to share with us some of the exciting information they have to share. You know, it's all about technology. We live in a technological savvy world, and a lot of us use some of this technology, probably don't understand some of the foundation of it, or maybe we use it in our day-to-day work, but we also don't understand how it can help us in education or in the workplace. And so I think that this morning we can learn a lot. So let me take this opportunity to welcome our guests. We have here with us Ms. Fallon Santos, and we are also glad to have Ms. Jonelli Pinello with us this morning, and we are also glad to have Mr. Antonio Cano. And so they will be sharing with us this morning about GPS, global GIS, global information. help me.
Okay, we'll take it over.
All right. So, Janelle, let's talk a little bit. Total Business Solutions, I was saying earlier that they've been here before in previous years, as we were, or at least closer to election time, when they do that board, and even media houses and so on can get an idea of what is taking place live around the country at the different poll booths, and you could look at previous years. So it's really a lot about information and how information can be stored, displayed, and then brought back, comparing live with what's been happening. So like I'm familiar with that part of it, right?
Part of it. So she'll just formally explain GIS.
Okay.
So, well, thank you for having us. And let me start off by defining once more. You got really close to it. GIS is the acronym, and it stands for Geographic Information Systems, right? And it's basically simply a technology that allows you to map, analyze, manage all types of data, right? And locate all types of data. And it's used in practically every form of data we use today.
Like Belize is developing, so we have like data as it relates to population. We have data. I see the roads. I'm driving between Belmopan, Belize City, Cayo. I notice we have a lot more traffic jams and slowing down. Then we have things like SIB, with that beat employment, all of this. There is a lot of information that's out there, and information is being generated all the time. How does your business connect with other businesses and organizations to ensure that this this information is available as we make decisions or make money or whatever it is that different sectors of the society need this information for.
Okay, so I could take over from Janelli with that. What we do, continuing from what Janelli said, so you went into examples of what we would call different layers, map layers, the census data, the roads data, the building footprints, population data as one of the main census data. And so a GIS shows how they interact with each other. And so you could make decisions from that information rather than looking at them individually. And so what we do as an organization, TBSL, we're the distributor for ArcGIS, which is a GIS software. And so we have users throughout Belize who have access to this software. So for example, our largest customer is the government of Belize. And so all, I think it's 18 ministries, units, departments have access to this software. Utility companies have it. Local government have access to the software. Not all utility companies, some of them already. But what we are saying is that even though TBSL is not an authoritative data source, we work with these users to bring together the data in one environment, and so that we could reach to a point where we could now share data.
Wow.
That's one of the components and foundation functions of a good GIS. And so our country is growing, and we're hoping GIS supports national development. Because after data collection and data management and mapping and visualization, what do we do with the data? We need to share and collaborate so that we can make good decisions.
Yeah. No, Belizean tradition has more been based on where I see and based on where I think, or based on where they tell me, and based on where I know. And even some policies, I guess, have come from that in the past. No? Some policies have come from that direction. But these different organizations that have come on board with this software, are they only extracting data from the software, or are they also able to input input data based upon their own experiences and their own data collection method? How does it work in that regard? Because some people feel like they got proprietary, like this information that for me one. But the truth is that to shift from a culture where we think we know to a data-driven culture, there has to be that culture of sharing. So how is that going? Can they input also into the software?
Definitely. Majority, or I could safely say all of our users, that's the main purpose, for them to put their information in the software. So when we go ahead and explain about our exhibitors for this expo, as our exhibitors are our users, that's their showcase, that's what they highlight, that's what they display, their information and how they make decisions from it. So why we're saying this data culture, we do know that the country is growing. We do know that there are plans for, whether it's a hub, a group of organization for data sharing. That is why we're saying it's still important for us to push it from the start, before the workforce, in education, having students even understand the importance, the whys, the whens, and where, so that by the time they get in the workforce, it's natural. Because for students right now, using technology is natural. That's something very normal to students. And so we're finding ways to ensure that geographic data is important as every other information that's being shared.
Right. Now, you're from the University of Belize, Mr. Kano. And so how does your institution, we're going to talk about the expo, because there's an expo coming up that Belizeans will be able to get to see even more of what we're talking about. But how does your institution use the software and the data that's collected from the software?
Well, for us at QB, obviously we're a teaching institution. We also do research. So We provide training to our students and by extension faculty staff that have interest in GIS. We teach them how to utilize the software to be able to integrate maybe existing data that they may have. In the courses that I teach them a lot about how to collect data. So going out into the field and
Which one of the departments are you?
I'm with the science department.
Science,
yeah.
okay. Mm-hmm.
And so we work really hands-on with our students to be able to train them to be able to utilize GIS, not only for the sake of using GIS, but to actually make some impact in their discipline or their area of study. So we have students who are maybe in natural resources. I have students on chemistry and biology, in IT, and so we try to align their area of interest with how GIS can help them. And then from the research aspect, we are budding into research at the university. We have the privilege to be able to collaborate with a lot of different partners, one of which, again, I guess we'll talk about as we get into the Maya Mapping Collaborative, where we're able to work with some of our partners to really utilize GIS to be able to, again, provide insights that are valuable, as well for us to be able to kind of foster really community growth. So for us, I can safely say that GIS is like a really important tool.
How hard or difficult was it for you? Because now you're teaching other people how to use it, but how did you find the software itself and to manipulate it?
I'll say that GIS is a really big and broad field. There's a lot. I don't know if there's anybody out there who knows everything about GIS, right? And so for me, I learned GIS when I was at school. I was trained in GIS. It's actually kind of my area of expertise. So coming back and being able to kind of share that knowledge with the students, I think has been rewarding. And I try to design my courses to make it as easy, right? Because obviously technology, yes, we do live, like you said, in a technologically fluent society. But at the same time, technology does require some experience. It does require application and practice, and so we try to design the content to be interesting enough that a student will go in and not just do it for the sake of the course, but will want to continue doing it.
Right. The inquisitive nature would be well, and that's the power of science as well too, right? So that it should not just become information based, but that they will want to themselves contribute to society, contribute to science, contribute to the realm of knowledge. And Belize needs a lot of that, especially as a developing country. You were saying earlier, Ms. Santos, that the government of Belize is one of the largest or the largest client as it relates to the many ministries that they have, and of course there's many uses as well. So next week there's going to be an expo or where Belizeans can come in and see these different organizations, ministries, educational institutions, etc., how they use the software and the information. So let's talk a little bit about what Belizeans can expect next week, and then we're going to look specifically at some of the things that you're doing.
So next week, Thursday, April 30th, we have the 10th Belize Education Expo. And so we're excited, we're double digits now. Since 2011, TBSL has been hosting different education initiatives, whether it's student focused, like the Expo, or teacher training initiatives, whether it's workshop for educators, teaching teachers to even teach with the GIS software. That was around 2021. During the COVID time, where you were forced to go with technology, and so we did a virtual teaching session there for educators. And so the Expo is a place whereby we bring educators, administrators, GIS users, the general public who are thinking about hearing this thing, GIS, seeing it as a part of this in my organization. I need to learn more. I need to get on with technology. And then the students, so that students can begin to understand new career paths and understand the world we're living in, how GIS impacts our daily lives. And so the Expo starts at 9 a.m., but we have an opening ceremony before at 8:15, where a keynote speaker this year is the CEO from the Ministry of Education, Culture, Technology, and Science, Mrs. Diane Mejia. So she'll be the keynote speaker for our opening ceremony, and then we move over to the expo room, all happening in the King's Room at the Ramada Princess Belicity Hotel. And so from 9 to 4, we will have over 12 exhibitors showing how they use GIS. And these 12 exhibitors are all ArcGIS users in Belize. As you could see right now, so far as of yesterday, we have 29 schools from throughout the country who've registered, so that's over 1,059. Well, that's 1,059 students registered to attend. And so we call this the largest, the national GIS event, because we are able to bring students from Kikaka, from villages in Toledo, because all of them now have access to information, access to technology, and they need to understand how to do meaningful work on it. So not only to teach with GIS, but to learn with GIS. That's where our country is already at this point. And so it's important for us to have these expos, giving all schools opportunity to attend or to learn about it. So we will be reaching a closing cap shortly, maybe about 1,100 or 1,200 students, because based on the venue and what it could hold. But we do invite other educators for you to come and learn how to teach with GIS, because it starts with educators and then students will use it.
Wow. So we have different booths that will be showing how they use this software. So at this present moment, as you said, you guys are the distributors for one specific
GIS software.
Right, software. And so you train these different groups, and if they have any issues or so with the software, you are the people who would come in and assist with that. And so they're now coming, putting up their own displays and showing how now they use your product, how they use that. Now, as it relates to University of Belize, you say there are some utilities that are on board, Ministry of Education, some other ministries. When they input their data, or over the years, 10 years, that's a pretty good amount of data, and as more organizations are coming on, are you able to actually access those data as well, or are there different levels of data that you would be able to access?
So the way that the ArcGIS system is set up is that there's different types of sharing privileges that are there. So I mean, it affords, I guess, the organization the ability to control any data that might be private or sensitive. But one of the really nice things, and one of the reasons that I particularly like ArcGIS, is that we can access kind of what they call a living repository, or the living atlas. And that's really kind of open data, global data sets.
Dynamic.
A lot of them are really dynamic. They update in lifetime. And so it provides really interesting insights that you can integrate with your own data. And again, kind of like going back to the whole idea about trying to make some good decisions, right?
Now, I want, before we get into the Maya mapping collaboration, which really I want to hear about, like land use in general in Belize, we seem to have a lot of problems with land use, because we have the pressures of tourism, and then we have the pressures of environmentally sensitive areas. Like I'm very much interested in development. Like I travel to other countries and I see great development, and then when you come back, the plain land, and all you see that bush, right? And yes, I want mangroves, and yes, I want the swampy areas, and yes, I want the natural ecosystem to thrive, and yes, I want tourists to come and enjoy the natural beauty. But when the tourists finish, then get back from a plane and then go to our first world country, and here I am still in the bush. So does a program like that, or is Lands Department, or is the Department of Environment, are they involved so that we could really finally plot out definitively where we are cut and where we now and cut and where we are make skyscraper and where we are left for future generations. I mean, like for me, like that's where the rubber hits the road. And I agree 100% that we don't want to chop down everything and we need to preserve the areas for humanity and our nursery and so on. But we like right now, for example, we have three people that vie for port. Like this is the reality where a software, in my opinion, meets the road, because we have the demands from cruise tourism, we have the demands from tourism in general, and then we have the demands from the environmentalists, and then we have the demands from people like me who just want to see something pretty in my country. And yes, the trees are beautiful and we plant them and everything, but also the world is moving. There are certain parts of the world, if you go to certain parts of China, certain parts of Asia, where it looked like one other world, you know, and then here we are in the bush. So land utilization, like, is that something that is using the program or can use the program, and this tension between development and environmental protections? That's my general question. It's always a pet peeve of mine because I love bush, but you know. Yes.
Well, I like your general question because it segues into who are our exhibitors. So I think it will give you some meaningful information right now.
Yes.
What you've explained, you've touched on about, if they could bring it up, about 5 of our exhibitors.
Very good.
So
very
for
good.
example, let's begin with Ministry of Natural Resources. The Land Information Center will be there. We do know the entire ministry is working on a land use policy, which they've publicly drafted and shared. And being a part of that group, I've seen whereby GIS is a major component, that they will use the technology in this policy so that they can make the best decisions. BTB will also have a booth there. They'll mount an exhibit. So you're talking about, yes, what we develop for tourism purposes. We also have agriculture, who will be their Ministry of Agriculture. And actually, we're reviewing their topic for exhibit this morning. And I think it's more towards policy, how they're using GIS to do policy on agriculture. So that spans out to some of our other exhibitors, such as CMIS and Baxter, who are in the sugar industry belt, who also use the software. So I mentioned about 4 or 5 exhibitors that contribute to your overall idea of how GIS supports land use.
Right. No, that sounds very, very good. Now let's talk specifically about the because you're here because you're one of the exhibitors, and it specifically says Maya Mapping Collaborative. So let's talk a little bit about that specific project that you're working on.
Sure. So the Maya Mapping Collaborative is a collaboration, as the name would kind of indicate, between 3 organizations. We have the Institute of Archaeology, we have Auburn University in Alabama, and then ourselves, University of Belize. We've been working collaboratively over the past year, basically with the goal to be able to utilize drone technology to map out the Mayan archaeological sites. We've had the privilege to be able to go so far to 3 different archaeological sites, work closely with the teams that are on the ground there. And it's not just simply flying the drone and collecting data, but how we integrate that data with the real life stories of the communities that they serve. So storytelling is also a really important part of the work that we're doing. It's been really rewarding. One, we began to...
Any new discoveries? Any new... Because I mean, I think I've seen documentaries or at least videos on YouTube where indeed new areas have been found, or at least some of the current areas in Mexico and so on, like they've found additional areas using the radar technology. I'm not sure specifically which one, where they're finding new or enlarged Maya sites, ancient Maya sites.
Well, I'll say this, Louis, like It's not my original thought, really, but I mean, Belize itself is full of, rich Mayan history.
Right.
And really, what we're utilizing when we go out, we actually take out three different drones with us. We take out a drone that has LiDAR, light detection and ranging.
Right.
I think that's really kind of what you're referencing, and that's really kind of the powerful drone that we're flying. What that allows us to be able to do is to be able to peek through the canopy of the jungle.
Wow.
Right. So we get a really nice layout of what is actually on the surface, and then that. I mean, for these structures that are already kind of well excavated, we were at Caracol recently. You'll get a beautiful visual of these structures. But then you start seeing more interesting things that maybe you just don't see with the naked eye. So, for instance, you start seeing kind of the road or the hydrological network that's there. So it's really
how sophisticated their civilization was.
And even like I said, we focused in on so far 3 archaeological sites. We went to Altunha, Cerros Maya and Corozal, and then more recently Caracol. But we've also, again, because of the interest of the Institute of Archaeology, we've been working at some other sites when possible that aren't necessarily reserves per se, but they're excavation sites.
Right.
And again, being able to see some of the interesting things that are there that really hasn't been
they're not excavated as yet, but it's still under.
It's there. For them it's helpful because I recall working with Mr. Ramos over at Archaeology, and we're flying the drone, and we're able to see maybe sites where there's some looting going on, right?
Okay.
You wouldn't necessarily just be able to pick that up just looking at some satellite imagery of the area. Like the LiDAR technology is really powerful in being able to reveal some of these patterns. And then again, combining that technology with the stories of the people there, I think also kind of helps to bring together really the bigger picture. So what we are working towards, kind of in the grander scheme of being able to share the work, is to be able to create these products called story maps. And so these story maps kind of integrate these interviews that we've been doing with the results of the technological work, and they're really nice media-rich pieces that can be shared to the general public. We have them out. Once we publish it publicly, it's there, it's available. We hope to highlight some of these things at our booth on next week's Thursday.
It's gonna be good, Belize. I'm feeling it.
And then ultimately too, the reality, for me, right? For me, being able to put together these pieces helps to share about the Maya culture, the Maya history, with not only the world, but maybe more importantly with our own people. You'll be surprised, how many kids don't have the opportunity to go and visit these sites on a regular basis. I'll give you the example of Cerros Maya. I honestly did not know Cerros Maya was there. I did not know about Cerros Maya until I went there, and then being there and actually seeing it in person and learning about the history and culture, I think was really very powerful for me. So being able to take that and then being able to share that now with our people, I think is really interesting.
That's wonderful. Belize next week Thursday at the Biltmore. No, not at the Biltmore.
Ramada Princess Hotel.
All right, very good, very good.
Yes,
Near the sea, I got it now.
Yes, the expo starts.
Just write that off, better Belmopan people.
Yes.
So next week. So. Is it free? Is there an entrance fee? Let's talk a little bit for adults, not just students, because you say people who are
definitely.
Maybe I can integrate that in my company. Maybe I can integrate that in my business, in my education, in my institution. So
it's a free expo to the public from 9, like we said, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Come TBSL will have booths as well, so you could learn more about the software and technology for persons who are interested, and it will be a fun-filled day, educational fun-filled day.
Janelle, some final words?
sponsors?
Well, we'd like to thank our sponsors. So we have our gold sponsors, UNICEF and Belize City Council. Our silver sponsors, DigiWallet and 5Cs. We also have supporting sponsors like the PUC, the Public Utilities Commission. We have PACT. We have Crystal and Snackers, which will be goodies for the kids. And obviously hydration is important. And we also have the Department of Youth Services as a supporting sponsor. So we really would like to thank our sponsors for making this event possible for the Belizean public and the students of Belize.
Very good. Well, some closing comments you have from yourselves as well.
I'll just encourage the public to come out. Like for us in academia, again, being able to expose this technology to students is really valuable. One thing I forgot to mention about the project that I think has been also really rewarding is being able to integrate our students into it. So, it's not just like, academic researchers, like the lecturers, but we have students out there in the field, and that's really awesome. So, come out if you can.
Very good, very good. Ms. Santos.
Would like to invite again everybody to come out and see the uses of GIS and how it's supporting national development. The utility companies will be there, the governmental bodies will be there, the conservation agencies will be there. And so we see GIS as a holistic use to national development, and it's one step closer to where we want to be as a country. So we invite everybody to come and enjoy the expo.
Yeah, we need to kill the bush liar mentality, right?
Yes.
I think I know, and we go to more data-driven decisions, data-driven policies, that it will have a greater effect in national development. So thank you for what you do. Thank you guys very much, and maybe hopefully too we can come back and look at some of those things that you guys are finding out. And let's continue to educate the nation. So thank you very much. Belize will take a break, and then we will be back. Brother Fem will be joining me in the next segment as we look at some of the events of the weekend, as well as in my absence I do have some comments. We know the transport department and public transport right now, they're asking about increase of prices. Gas, they're almost at $14. We've had multiple drug busts in Chatamal right now. The cartel is starting to kick up dust, so there is a lot of other related things that we need to talk about as it relates to the news. So we'll be right back after these messages.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace.
Mornings with the kids are always busy, but having the space we need makes life easier. With the Jack T8, we have the comfort, reliability, and space we need. With fully breathable leather seats, 6-speed manual transmission, 9-inch LCD screen with Apple CarPlay and Android, 4-cylinder, fully turbo diesel, and space for my entire family. We can count on Jack to get us there safely and comfortably.
Smart for everybody. Smart leading everything. Smart give you everything. Smart offer everything. Smart give you everything. North to the east and the south and the west. Smart are the best. Darling, double up my data and give me all the text. In fact, give me a plan for my family. Unlimited calls, so me like it. And smart make everybody feel happy. Bringing people together, me want it now. Smart got love for everybody. Me want my smart plan, want it right now. Me want my smart plan, want it right now. More bundles, data plan. Me want my smartphone, internet in my hand. Cause me want my smart plan, want it right now. Smart. Stay connected, stay happy.
Well, the feeding program, we had a system in place where students would apply to the program, and for us that was important because there are students who, if we want to call it, more needed than others. While provision is made for 400 students, if there are other students who are in need of food on any given day, they are not turned back from the program. The cooks are aware that they must facilitate those students.
It benefits the school because some other students, they're not privileged enough to buy food. When I get free lunch at the feeding program, I enjoy it because it's also making me save up money from what I spend when I buy food.
Knowing that there's a feeding program and I could just get food for free, it takes the less of the stress off. So when my mom knows, even though I don't have the money, I can still get a meal.
Most of the time they would try and spare some change for me so I can buy my lunch. But when they heard about free lunch, they decided, let's give it a shot. And when I told them the results, they were very happy about it.
Some students do travel and sometimes they might not have the time in the morning to make breakfast. So coming to school, knowing that you're going to have lunch might be very nice for them, so they don't have to worry about that.
As a teacher on the ground, you do come across students who, on a daily basis, you're affected by not having meals available. You know, the saying, empty crocus bag can't stand up. We do see that in terms of motivation, students are more motivated. It's one thing less to worry about.
You know what they say, when you eat, that tends to bring more metabolism and more energy to a person. But for the people that have to put themselves through not buying it because they can't afford it, it does put them in a rough spot because they could get sick. So having this feeding program is a good idea.
Cada conexión es más que solo una señal, es un estudiante abriendo las puertas a su futuro a través de la educación digital. Una mente joven atreviéndose a soñar en grande. Nuestra cultura compartida con el mundo en tiempo real. Y héroes cotidianos respondiendo al llamado del deber cívico. Cuando nos conectamos con Digi, empoderamos a Belice.
Get your body sculpted with gym equipment and accessories from Benny's. Quality and savings.
Give me the real milk, the number one milk, Dano milk, then love Dano milk. You can whip it cream, for Dano milk it is real, yes, Dano milk, then love Dano milk. All over Cayo and in San Pedro, Dano milk, then love Dano milk. Dano milk in the morning, Dano milk in the evening, Dano milk. Give me Dano milk. Up north in Corozal, supermarket and them all. Dano milk, then love Dano milk. All all over this land. And in Belmont, yes, Dano milk. Give me Dano milk. Say in Dangriga, down south in Fiji. Dano milk. Then love Dano milk. You can hear this talk, cause it's in Orange Walk. Yeah, Dano milk. I love Dano milk. Dano milk powder. Probably the best milk powder in the world. Dano.
Drop it like it's hot. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place we ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place we ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine. Thank you so much for joining us. It's 15 minutes after 8 o'clock on this beautiful Monday morning. It is the 20th of April, and it looks like the heat, they really begin to come down. So I saw a post last night, because yesterday was pretty warm across the country of Belize, and it said, well, the heat no me want, the heat no I get now. So if you see a puddle of water, please tell the puddle of water goodbye. Something to that effect, because the heat is on. Well, it's Monday morning, and this is our not our first segment, it's our second segment, and I'm glad on this Monday morning to be joined by Brother Fem Cruz. Brother Fem, good morning, man, good to see you. Good to see you, my brother.
Why, come on, will say it's 16 minutes past the 8 of the clock.
8 of the clocky, yes. Why we're dressed in a blue today too.
That's right.
But you were here earlier, but you were sitting out the last segment when we were talking about the GIS system, Brother Fem. But we take a look at the weekend, and we see that there were a couple of accidents that took place over the weekend that has claimed the life of several several Belizeans.
Yes, you say correct, Pastor. It's sad to know that some people go out to enjoy themselves one time and no more. Some people go out with their family and they say that 4 hours in the vehicle, I meet at the head of the home, the father. I want to take care of my big picnic. I want to take care of my family. But today, like, people don't care again. I don't know why. I sit a back street because I'm between Friday evening and Saturday. Some construction or happen at the Rowan Creek New Bridge.
Yes.
And pass the vehicle and they take the back road. I did pray God nobody get killed because then they run the back road. Try beat them one way they and the main way have to go slow. And it's sad because as I said, man, I could see why young people kill themselves because they don't care a biscuit.
Yeah. And the back roads are narrower, and residents of Rowan Creek use those back roads. The children, like you say, use those back roads. And I was out there as well too, because they are right after you come off the bridge in Rowan Creek. It looked like they're either changing a culvert or they are changing a pedestrian crossing, but there's a pedestrian crossing almost in front of Garbut service station, and they've been working there since Friday evening. Well, Friday, a lot of traffic is on the road.
Yes.
On Fridays. Brother Fem, I was heading to Belize City on Friday too, and that's not the only place that we had traffic jam and vehicles had to go onto the back streets of Rowan Creek. But between Kikiwitz, which is heading towards Belize City, between Kikiwitz and there are several companies out there on the highway. Before you reach Cotton Tree, there was also some work that was being done, and the lines were very, very long as well. Well, with that one, you have to wait. In Rowan Creek, people at least have the opportunity to use the back roads, but man, they need to be conscientious that they are indeed passing through a village, because it's good when you at least have a bypass that you can use and you don't have to sit on the highway for 15-20 minutes. But we have to be careful of other people who are also using the roads.
When I was coming up as a young man, we used to respect the road where we used to have mostly gravel. And people know the dead, so we ball and say, "Oh, the road bad." No, we got good road. And they just tell me that road no kill people, that we kill ourselves.
Yeah, we're having much better roads than ever before. But then also I noticed, Brother Fem, that there are a lot more vehicles on the road. There are a lot more vehicles on the road as well. So like I was heading to Belize City on Friday, and because the roadside by the shoulder, the road eat off, and I was not driving fast. I was not driving fast to Belize City, and the trailer wheel came, and the street cut up the trailer.
Wow.
I lost money, I lost time right there, which is why I do believe that the government is doing the right thing by improving the road between Belmopan and Belize City.
That's right.
But the problem is that if they improve the road, then people want to go faster, and then that can again still create accidents. One of the accidents that we see took place on the Augustine Pine Ridge road in Orange Walk. And it says that these 3 individuals, a man, his girlfriend, and another passenger, they were driving, and of course one of the person was driving, and at least the preliminary information that's coming out is that the person fell asleep on the wheel, and so lost control. The 3 persons died, they were coming from the free zone, and the 3 persons died in that accident. And then there was another accident in PG. So when you turn the curve from Kettle Landing to go into PG. As you pass the Joe Taylor Bridge, which is now a beautiful expanded bridge, nicely done. It's 2-lane now. Then there is the dollar sign, and
yes.
you know where that dollar sign is.
Yes,
and apparently, right there was a motorcycle accident, and it says 2 male individuals crashed there, and that both of them have died. So literally just yesterday we had 5 people dead from that's a lot of people for a small country like Belize. But I noticed that this Easter we didn't have as many accidents as in previous years. I don't know if you saw that.
You're right,
this year. I really believe that it's because we had a lot of Christian events over that weekend.
Thank you.
That's what I really believe. I got sick Easter Sunday night. I caught a very bad flu, but I was really giving thanks to God, loving my country, loving the government, because many of these events were sponsored by government.
That's right.
Then Corozal Town Council, Orange Walk Town Council, San Antonio, the area representative, the chairman, and the churches came together. In Red Bank. It was the former former chairman of Red Bank. In Dangriga, Dr. Louis Sabane partnered with us to have the concert there. And then, of course, the 2 nights in Belize City, which were done by Kevin, sorry, not Kevin, but Mayor Bernard Wagner. 2 nights of revival for Belize City. Those were very powerful. And so I think there were a lot of Christian events and no alcohol. People still enjoyed themselves. People came out, they went back home safe. They were not high or anything. And so a lot of movement took place, but we didn't have as many accidents this year. And so it shows us that if we can have the right kind of activities, Brother Fem, people can actually stay alive.
That's right, Pastor. I thank God. I tell you that something that you spoke a while ago, very important. That's why I all the time tell me musician, boy, we shout and a lot of uno. What I mean, Brother Fem? Meet we get back on the bass and the guitar and make we throw down something.
Yeah.
Because to me, I say the youth center today, hungry for the music, we're positive. And if we play the positive music and have positive event and have no alcohol there, then we have a better celebration and good memories.
Absolutely. And it's one of the things that I'm seeing too, because since we have 501 is back doing music. We have the Heavenly's Gospel Band that's back doing music. There's the name.
Ray the Reyes?
Yeah, you have Ray the Reyes, of course, out of San Antonio, and something juvenile, like I forgot the name at the present moment, but there are quite a few Christian groups that are resurfacing. Of course, Dennis G has been present. He'd never gone away, and I really love that about Dennis G. He has continued to do great work through the years. But I'm beginning to feel good again about the number of Christians that are beginning to come back with music. So there is a thing called Christian entertainment. There is nowhere in Scripture that says that entertainment is a bad thing. You have clean entertainment, and then you have dirty entertainment. So
tell me the dirty one and the clean one.
Well, if you take a look at what was happening Easter Sunday at a couple of the places where the woman then they go up on stage in a bikini and they gyrate for $100.
Wow.
And I mean that was another talk around the country as well, with hot off the press putting a lot of these very, very nasty nasty images of women. Like, that's degrading of women.
Yes.
You understand? And that are just lust and promiscuity and sexual degeneracy, all of that in the public domain on Easter. So that does not glorify God. That doesn't even glorify man in the sense of putting our culture in a positive light. That is totally ungodly. But you can have entertainment that is decent.
Yes.
It doesn't even have to be Christian, but it's decent. It's positive. It is uplifting. It's cultural in a positive way. You can have that. And then there's also Christian entertainment. As I said, nothing is wrong with entertainment. When Jesus came, he told stories. You know, that was a way of Jesus told parables, and those parables were entertaining, but they also had a spiritual meaning. They were significant because he told about the kingdom of God using stories. And the people of that day loved stories. They could identify with the stories. They could apply it to their lives. And so entertainment has always been a part of ministry. We all love a good preacher when they preach. We all love a good musician when they sing. And I was telling my church that King David had 4,000 singers.
Wow.
4,000 singers in the Tabernacle of David, and he had, I think, over 277 musicians. So David, in giving glory to God, gave his best as a king. You know, dance before the Lord and so on. So yes, there are Christians who don't believe in that, but I don't think they stand on biblical principle. That is just their traditional interpretation, and they're entitled to that. But we need good comedians. We need comedians when of course, right? In the United States, there's a guy by the name of Nate Bargatze. So like he's now one of the most popular. He's one of the most popular comedians in the entire United States. Doesn't use a single bad word. Talk about his family and talk about everything, and now he's right at the top. Better than some of the dirty mouth, foul language comedians that are there. And so, you know, I come from an entertainment background. Even when we do talk shows in the morning, a part of it is entertainment as well, Brother Fem. So we don't run away from entertainment, but at the same time, it needs to be godly, it needs to be uplifting, it needs to be positive, it needs to be family oriented. And that's why when you have these smut kind of newspaper type thing like hot off the press and so on, that's really belittling women. And you know, some of the women have children. What happens when the children grow up and cinema? Yes. They act like that on stage. You know, like it's really disgusting. And I think Pastor Scott Sturm wrote a letter to Hot Off the Press with that too. So there's good entertainment and there's bad entertainment. And nothing is wrong with good, clean, wholesome entertainment. And we need to see more of that.
And I want to sympathize with the king of reggae music, Ernest Smith, passed away. I think it was Thursday night or Friday night. Yes, it's Friday night. Ernest Smith. He sang the song, I for Jesus, you for Jesus, I for Jesus. Jesus come for one, he come for all little children. That's Ernest Smith. And we want to extend condolences to the people out there. You know, I meet him in person on Pluto.
Love FM used to like to bring. Yes, Love FM used to bring him, not true?
Yes, at Old Belize. I went there, my wife, and she invited a friend, so 3 of us went to Belize at Old Belize, and it was rammed to the max. Lone old school, you see out there too. And I say, I listen to the music and I say, God, look how the guys are good.
You know the one who sing Belly Way Back and something like Ram Goat Liver,
yes,
good for make manish water.
Yes, Ernest Smith will always remember by Belizeans. They love Ernest Smith.
As I say, you know, it's positive, it's positive entertainment, it's positive music. And we need more musicians.
Yes,
and writers as well. Yes. You know, like when I used to write music for Dear Revelation, it was not all our music that was worship worship music. You'll remember I wrote a song called Be No Fool, Stay in School. You know, it was a song that was encouraging people and kids to stay in school. And we used to have a stay in school jam. You know, I wrote, please leave the children alone.
Yes.
You know, leave the children alone was a song that I wrote because we had the killer who was killing those children, dismembering them all over the country of Belize. And I wanted to write a song where we can remember the children and that we can put that song out there, leave the children alone, so that children can have a positive encounter with life rather than a negative encounter with life, speaking against child abuse and so on. You see, so it's not a song that's about worship, but it is a song that is contributing to the country of Belize. Christians can do that too. So a lot of the worship bands nowadays, they're just playing praise and worship, and praise and worship is good. However, that's not the only kind of music that can be played. You know, like when you write the song that if you want, you know, that if you want, Jesus not force you, that is not a praise song or a worship song, but it is a song that is telling people that they need to choose, they need to choose God. Yes. You see it? So it's not a praise and worship song, but it's a song that's telling people. When I wrote Payday, you know, some people do it and want them to pay. So it's not a praise song or a worship song. You can't sing it in church, but you can sing it in the world, telling people that they need to make their choices properly. You understand? So we need more songs like those that are not just sung in church for praise and worship, but where they can sing out in the world and point people to Jesus. So that's one of the things that I want to see as well, because a lot of the churches have musicians, but they're only playing praise and worship music. Well, what about evangelism? What about music that can teach people things and that can actually make people make a decision for Jesus that is just separate from praise and worship? Like that's something that I want to see too, Brother Fem.
Some people say what they want, do what they want, but they want. Pastor,
yes.
I love it because when I hear it play on Love FM, they play your music often. You know, the band, and I say, man, how nice it is to know that we still have senior players and bassman, guitarman ready to teach the youth. Say, LG got one guitar class, and he started something where I should have started Rowan Creek before, because I have the mind to do it, but at the same time I grabbed this way with this Parkinson, and I can't do it. But I thank God with some of the DJ there, when they have function like with the kids, and maybe an 11-year-old celebrate a birthday or a 10-year-old, then they play the kind of music where you think good with the kids.
Yeah.
But some other DJs
some of the nasty. It's true.
Really.
So some of the DJs have really lost their way as it relates to when it is a child event for children and when adults are there. And I've seen in the past where some of those events for Easter, they picked it and they're right this in front of the stage, and the MC and the DJs and the promoters and the nasty dancing is taking place right in front of the children. You know, I think they should be arrested and charged.
That's right.
Taken to court. That's what I believe. Public indecency. I think that's really what needs to take. Public indecency, Brother Phil. Arrest, charge, and taken to court for public indecency. All right? But we need more positive injection within our culture. You know, when I wrote the song Power to Love, right? That was something that Mr. Ramsey, you remember Ramsey with the mule and
cat? Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. So I wrote that song because Ramsey was the one who used to on his with his donkey and his cat, he used to holler power to love.
Man,
he was the one who used to holler power to love. And one day I heard him. Because I was living in Belize City, I was going to school in Belize City, and I heard Ramsey shouting power to love, you know, and I said, boy, you know what, I think I can write a song about power to love, and that song became a hit. You know, I think Love FM still plays it from time to time as well
all
too.
The time.
You know, so Power to Love is a song really where I just went deeper into this statement that Ramsey used to shout on his mule and cat, which is power to love, you know, and so it is possible for us as Christians to still influence our culture in a positive way, right? So praise and worship is very good. It is very needed, but there are many ways to express through art positive entertainment and positive culture, and we have to make sure that we don't we have to make sure that the things that we put out in culture, like I believe that if I put out one positive song, Brother Fem,
yes,
and that positive song air on the radio, that a one negative song will not get a slot.
Okay.
Right? That's how we used to think when we were a part of derevelation. You know? So for every derevelation song we play, that a one less song where we take up that slot.
Okay.
Where we maybe not have a positive message.
Okay,
so they're not just for stop the positive. They're not just for stop the negative, but they're for produce more positive.
So you know, only want to take funny, but you want to put back.
You want to put back. You want to put something there.
Okay.
You know. So and I have still carried that feeling. I still feel that way. You know, that instead of just talk about the negative, what is it positive that we can contribute? Which is why when we dealt with the marijuana issue, we started a drug rehab, because okay, what is it positive that we can contribute? That we are not just saying okay, no marijuana, but that we start something where people can actually come off drugs. They can actually come off alcohol. They can come off some of these drugs. You know, so it's to actually do something positive as well. And in wrapping up, I want to congratulate the police department, the Coast Guard, because
tell me
again, while I was sick, and you hear my voice, don't they kind of go in for the morning already? but those big busts, Brother Fem, when last you hear we catch a plane with cocaine and the pilots?
Wow.
You understand?
That's right.
So that was a major bust. And then the Coast Guard were out near Turnef, and they had a big capture. And then out in Ladyville, the police in Ladyville caught pounds, over $1 million worth of marijuana, took it off of the streets. And that happened like back to back to back, like within 3 to 4 days. We catch our plane, we catch the pilot, we catch the boat, we catch drugs, we catch in Ladyville itself. I was like, man.
Gun as well too.
Oh, gun as well.
Yes.
You see, I sent a congratulations to the Commissioner of Police, Commissioner Rosado. I said, man, Commissioner Rosado, congratulations to you and to your team, because I am sorry to put it this way, but I was not convinced that some of these previous leaders were really interested in taking drugs off the street. But I can say with confidence that Minister Mira, I can say with confidence that CEO Elton Bennett, I can say with confidence that the Commissioner of Police Rosado and their team, based on what I saw over the last couple of weeks, Brother Fem, I feel good that we are taking drugs off the streets, that the war on drugs is back on, because the less drugs that are out there, the less drugs for our kids, for our young people. We need to live a sane and sober life in the country of Belize. We need a sane and sober life. And I want a police department, I want a Coast Guard, I want a police and soldier, BDF, and even customs were a part of it, Brother Fem, because the customs up north customs department were the one who stopped the first vehicle that had the aviation fluid. But I felt very good, Brother Fem. I'm sick, but I will feel good. That I just had to send my congratulations because drugs it holds our young people back from being their full self, from being their best self. And we need to offer our young people hope. We need to offer them things where they can feel better about themselves without taking drugs. And so I was very happy. Brother Fem, I feel very good that the war on drugs is back on. So I'm happy about that. Anyway, it's 8:42, so we gotta wrap up this morning.
What about the bus situation?
Well, yeah, we were to have Philip and just when I got sick to come and talk about the bus situation that the association is having. You know, Brother Fem, that most of the bus companies have now come together to form the NBC, National Bus Company. And the National Bus Company has it is some of the biggest buses. Floralia is a part of it. James Bus Line has come on board. West Line has come on board, and quite a few of the smaller carriers have come together to form one big company. And when you form a company like that, then you can get better prices on tire. You can get prices on fuel.
Yes.
You can actually, when the price of gas is lower, you can buy diesel. You can buy a lot of the diesel and put it aside, so that when the price go up, you're not dependent. Every time the bus roll in, you have to stop our bus stop. Stop our gas station. You can barter for cheaper fuel because you are a larger company. And then, of course, government owns a percentage of the National Bus Company. And so there are more opportunities for financing, more opportunities for access to technology. And that opportunity was given to all bus companies.
Yes.
So even those bus companies that are not a part of the National Bus Company, they were given an opportunity to be a part of it. But they said no, they want to run their own operation. And I need to say, remember, freedom of choice, right?
Yes,
free constitution, you don't have to join this big company. But a smaller company that's running on its own, you're going to have more expenses.
Yes.
So they have an association, and they were asking for an increase in prices. Well, the government first said no increase in prices, but then the price of fuel has gone up from roughly 11 change to almost $14. It's a very large increase in fuel prices. And so I am glad that Minister Louis Avani said, hey, if instead of going on strike on Monday, which would have been today, can you guys wait until the ministers meet, the cabinet meet, which is cabinet meets on Tuesdays. And so it's good that the association said, okay, we will wait until Tuesday. So there should have been very large action, at least some of the companies in the north especially, to update the public following his recent announcement regarding the severe impact of rising fuel on the transportation sector. BBA acknowledges the concern. We are pleased to confirm the Minister of Transport has informed the BBA that the matter will be tabled at the next cabinet meeting, Tuesday, April 21st, which is tomorrow, and then a discussion is going to be made. So as a result of this development, the BBA unanimously agreed to continue regular bus services on Monday and Tuesday. The outcome of the cabinet meeting on Tuesday will determine the future course of action. So at least there is a pause, there is dialogue. The information is going to go to cabinet. Cabinet is going to make a decision, and let's see what happens by Wednesday. But without a doubt, the bigger company will have more advantage than the smaller company, and then Belizeans will decide who they want to ride with. Belizeans will have that choice to decide. So I think that there's going to be a huge shake-up in the transport industry, because there is no way that I can think about that the smaller bus companies, unless they come together, can be competition to the large NBC. I don't see it. And so, but people have a constitutional right, having their licenses already, to be able to say, no, I don't want to be a part of a big company, I want to be a part of a small company. So time will tell how it's going to work. But the government of Belize, being the majority shareholder in the NBC, will be able to get newer buses faster because they can access low interest loans. The government the government could not attract low interest loans when the government was just the regulator, regulating the industry, you understand, with the transport department, etc., because all of the bus companies were private. But now that there is a national bus company with majority shareholder by the government, then the government can access low interest loans internationally, and then those loans can be used to improve the industry so that Belizeans can have better buses. And then that's going to take down the price again too, because if they get electric buses, if they get newer buses, those buses use less fuel, they need less repairs, you understand? So it takes down your overhead. And so as time goes by, you will begin to see the difference that the national bus company is going to create in the industry, because they will be able to access loans, grants, funding, technology that the other smaller bus companies will not be able to attract unless they come together and work as a group.
So you believe it's better to have one bus company? Well, as you say, suppose one of the small company.
Well, if you were one of the smaller bus companies, I would have encouraged you to join the national bus company.
Thank you.
I would have. I had conversations, I won't say who, but I did have conversations with James Bus Line when they were wondering whether or not they should join. You know, I shared with them, listen, these are the advantages, make sure you have this caveat, etc. But also, Brother Fem, I prefer a national bus company that is not run by public servants.
Okay.
Because public servants are a different kind of worker from a private worker.
Break it up for me a little bit.
Well, when one government office will open 8 o'clock, what time you open?
8 o'clock, 8:15.
8:15, 8:30, right?
Yes.
And then 12 o'clock, quarter to 12, what happened by quarter to 12?
Then done the
and then done the go. And then what happened 4:30? If the public servant. And then done the go. But if what Chinese shop say you open 8, what time you 8? What time you open?
Sometimes 10 past 8.
Yeah, exactly. It's open, correct?
Yes, Pastor.
All right. You see, so there's just a different level of service that a private worker gives than a public servant. I noticed that there is a big quarrel again with the unions because the government wants to put them on a clock. So you come in and you use your fingerprint, and the fingerprint, when you say, okay, you come to work 7 o'clock, you come to work 7:30, oh, you come late, you come 8:15, because nobody could sign in for you when they're thumb.
Yes.
Right? Even when I was at Compre, I think before I left Compre, they were already putting in you just come, when you come in, you just put your finger there and it clock you, and you move on. So it looks like like there is a fight where some of the public servants and the union don't want to do fingerprint time clock, which is done all over the world.
That's right.
All over the world. You know, so we will see how that goes. They're saying, oh, it has to do with their P file and this and that. So we'll listen and we will watch and see how it goes. But your personal data doesn't have your biometric data. Government control that already because they have the passports and all of those things. Your passport has biometric information. It goes all over the world. So we will see how that happens. But if the national transport, if the national bus company is going to work, it can't work with public servants. It has to work with with workers that belong to the company, who can be trained, who can be fired, who can be promoted, who can be given incentives, so that we can have an efficient busing system. That is a fact. As a business owner, that's really what you want. Yeah. Anyway, your closing comments.
Well, wonderful show, Pastor. Thank you for those information that you compiled together and able to share it with our audience out there. On behalf of Rise and Shine, my family and the rest of the family, to your family, we want to extend our condolences to you all. I know it's not easy to get up this morning and open the room door and you not see your son or your daughter because of accidents and incidents. I call some of the accident name whether accident where you could avoid, wrong or short, but I said that so. So I want to say once again, continue to pray, family, and we are with you. Trust God, we can get over this, but those are examples for us to know that you could always buy one motorcycle the same kind, but you can't get one next family the same kind neither. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you very much, Brother Fem.
Yes,
thank you
Pastor.
very much, Belize, for joining us this morning. And I'm grateful to be back. And we will see you tomorrow. Brother Fem, God bless. Thank you. We were able to enjoy a segment together. God bless you.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet